Hey, Nicole Huntsman here from moderncosmic.com. In this series, we're going to go over synastry. So before you can even sort of jump into synastry, you need to have a basic understanding of kind of the four building blocks. Okay, so you need to understand the zodiac signs, all 12 of them. You need to understand all 12 of the houses. You need to understand the glyphs for the planets and the planetary symbolisms, and you need to understand aspects, okay? So those four, you need to have a very comfortable working understanding of those four building blocks of astrology with this individual birth chart. And then once you've got that mastered, then you can move on to relationships, synastry, and composite charts, Davison charts, etc. So what we're doing here with synastry, there are several different types of relationship charts. We have, as you can see here on the screen, this is a synastry chart. This is where we take, this is the birth chart of one individual here in the middle, and we have laid the birth chart of another individual over top of it, or next to it, around it. And what we're doing with this particular series of videos is we're going to look at house overlays. So we're simply going to look at where the different planets of a partner, as they fall into, as you can see for the sun, we'll start with the sun, we're going to look and see where these planets, which houses they fall into. Sorry about that. Which houses they fall into, okay? And I have conveniently, this is me, Nicole, in the middle here, these blue planets, all right? And this is Donald Trump, right around here, because he's in the news right now, and how can we can't escape him. So I thought I would do a synastry with Donald, just because, why not? Okay, now with synastry, we're going to look at the different planets. As those different planets fall into the houses in your birth chart, they're going to activate the house they fall into. The planet, the partner's planet, and its particular symbolism will show you how it activates this house, okay? So, for example, here with Don, we got his sun in Gemini. So you have to first take into account the fact that he's a sun in Gemini in the 10th house, okay? This has its own unique flavor. Gemini, of course, is the communicator. Gemini conjunct Uranus is the little bit free speaker. They say what they think when it's Gemini, and it gives an individual sort of, they just have their own, they march to the beat of their own drummer, which clearly he does his own thing and doesn't care what other people think, or at least that's what he says. He purports to not care what other people think, or he just has convinced himself he doesn't care what other people think. It's in the 10th house, which is the house of status, so I guarantee he cares what other people think. If he didn't care, then he wouldn't have worked so hard to be as successful as he's been in business. So take that into account. So this isn't just a sun. It's not just a Gemini sun. It's a 10th house Gemini sun conjunct Uranus. You have to look at the whole package. Now he falls into my 10th house. The 10th house is going to be your house of status, career, work, employment. It's not employment like working for someone else. It's more your career, what you do for work. So our relationship would be one. Also, when someone falls in your 10th house, their sun or moon, this gives them an added importance in your life. It can give them a little added, if you're dating someone and their sun falls in your 10th house, it can feel like they are there to sort of guide and direct you. There can be a little sense that they're the one in charge. There can be they wear the pants kind of a thing. That can happen. So with this video, we're going to go through this whole series. We're going to go through each of the planets. I'm going to give you a brief little explanation, or sort of this is like the cookbook version of how to interpret the planets and the houses. Remember, you need to do the further added analysis of looking at the zodiac sign that planet is in, looking at the house that it's located in, so you can get more of a flavor of how this person expresses that planet in their personality before you lay it into your chart. And you need to understand the house for you and how important that house is in your chart, okay? And if it's an angular house, etc. So without further ado, we will continue on with the planets. Venus, let's talk about the planet Venus when it comes to relationships. So Venus, your Venus or your partner's Venus, is going to show what you value. It's how you show appreciation. It's how you show love. It's how you try to harmonize and bring people together, whether you're good at it or not. If you have a happy Venus, that's one that is being used, doesn't have any harsh aspects being made to it from some of the planets like Mars or Saturn, then you're going to be someone who's a harmonizer. We take this Venus in your love relationships as far as a sexual planet. I always say it's the one that shows how you make love. Mars is kind of how you have sex, but Venus is how you make love. So it's more affectionate. It's got more of a emotional component to it, okay, rather than Mars being just the physical body. So where your Venus falls in your partner's chart is going to show in their life where you bring these Venusian qualities. Okay, it's going to show how you bring out in them their Venusian side, and then also the Venusian things that you bring. So first house, in the first house, this is a classic placement. I mean, Venus in the first house, especially if it's conjunct the ascendant, that means that the person who, which we're going to say this is you, you're the planet person. If it's your Venus, you bring out in your partner, or I'm sorry, not you bring out, you value the same things that your partner naturally expresses through their personality. Okay, so this is just that initial, whoa, they're attractive to me. They're, they're good looking to you. They are, the partner is, I'm sorry, I'm saying this backwards. The planet person is bringing out the traits in the house person. So the house person is going to be like, ooh, you're attractive to me. Okay, so you're the planet person. I keep getting this mixed up in my head. Venus also in the first house is going to bring a quality of, Venus is kind of a playful, it's sort of hedonistic in a sense. So you might bring a little bit of this out in your partner, this desire to sort of just enjoy one another's company and sort of blow off the things you should maybe be doing with your time. Venus in the second house is your house of money. This is a great placement for a relationship if it's long term, and it adds a little stability to the relationship romantically, and it also adds this element of, building something material together. So saving your money and working for something together. Venus here is this sort of, it does give a sense of security to the house person and the planet person as well, but especially if it's a woman that's the house person, a man's Venus in her second house will give her a sense of security and safety. And it's going to bring out a desire for nice things. The two of you together might enjoy going on, whether it's nice trips or just simply purchasing things or having items that are sort of status items, well-made items in your home that you can kind of share and show off a little bit. Venus, and again, of course, look at the Venus. You gotta, like I said, of course, I'm assuming, I don't need to repeat myself a bazillion times, but look at the Venus, that Venus of your partner, or your Venus, since you're the planet person, right? Look at your Venus and look at your partner's Venus. So look what they value and look at because Venus rules the second house. So their second house their Venus is very important in this mix. If your Venus and their Venus are making nice aspects, that suggests you would have the ability to make money together. You'd have the ability to sort of, you're going to value similar things. Okay, so that's helpful. Oh, Venus in the second house also is this is your house of self-esteem and it's your personal values and you yourself, your value. So your partner's Venus falls there, you will feel valued by your partner. You'll feel like you are, your self-worth, your self-esteem is something that your partner values. That's nice. Okay, Venus in the third house. The third house is that house of communication. If your Venus falls in your partner's third house, your partner is going to enjoy conversation with you. There's this element of, that fun repartee that can happen between two romantic partners, the flirtatious laughter and conversation and the little back and forth and the chit chat. These things will all feel really pleasant. This is also pillow talk. This is, conversation being an important part of the interaction between you and your partner. You, as the planet person, as the Venus person, the way that you, or sort of the things that you value as well, your partner will enjoy talking about. So if you value politics, your partner will enjoy talking about these things just naturally. So there's a little simpatico there, okay? Venus is this lovely little planet that wherever she falls, she just brings pleasure and harmony and ease. Venus in the fourth house, this is our house of home. This is on a very literal level. This is somebody making your home more beautiful, more pleasant, more, bringing an element of comfort, an element of maybe they help redecorate your house, like literally, right? But also it's bringing harmony into the home. So even if you have a chart with someone that's pretty intense or it's got a lot of maybe conflict, there's this quality of them also though bringing something beautiful into your home life. And it could just be affecting your inner world. Instinctively, you may instinctively have this desire to spend time with this person, okay? Because the fourth house is also your inner emotional world, and Venus is pleasure. So it's this enjoyment of sharing, enjoying that relationship of sharing with this other person, kind of your secret inner world. Parenting is an issue too. This is the house of the mother. Traditionally, it's actually the house of the parents. It can be the house of the father as well. But to me, this would bring out, maybe if you're the planet person, the Venus, you could bring out a quality of mothering quality or nurturing quality in the partner. There could be this desire to take care of one another that can be quite pleasant, especially if you had a composite chart that had a lot of Cancer or really strong moon, happy moon. It would be this desire to kind of cuddle up together in bed and cozy up under your comforter together and just nurture each other. That's nice. As Mars and Cancer, my Mars and Cancer says. Okay, now the 5th house is the house of course, creativity. Venus there is very happy in this 5th house because Venus, the goddess of art and music and the things of life that make life beautiful and pleasurable and enjoyable and worth living, in the 5th house, this means that you as the Venus, your Venus, the things that you, your way of, the things you enjoy are in this house, the person that your person naturally creates, okay? So like, let's say you're dating someone who is a musician. Your Venus falls into their 5th house. You probably are their muse. I mean, if you throw some Neptune in there, and you definitely are their muse. But the things that you find beautiful in this world, and the things that you find worthwhile and enjoyable in the middle of this mad, crazy world we live in, are the same things that your partner naturally wants to create, okay? So you would appreciate the things that they create, you would enjoy them. Now, this is also the house of the lovers. That's fantastic having your Venus in the house of the lovers, right? Because this just tells us that it's going to up the ante as far as your sexual relationship and your physical affection between each other kind of goes. And you got to look at the Venuses to see what that looks like exactly. And you got to look at of course, your Venus and see if it's got aspects to it that are tough, like Saturn. You might have a hard time expressing yourself, and perhaps you help bring into your relationship a quality of discipline relative to the creative process. Maybe you come along and you help your partner. They've wanted to write their whole life, but they can't just sit down and write each day and get on a schedule. If you've got Saturn on your Venus, you're going to help them see the pleasure in that, through time. So write each day, and at the end of a month, you've got 30 pages written, and that'll be really enjoyable, that kind of thing. And that's kind of a ramble, but you maybe see what I'm saying. Next house, the 6th house. This is the house of the duties. By the way, 5th house, back to the 5th house. Venus in the 5th house can indicate, if you've got a chart, a synastry chart and the composite chart and the Davis, and look at all three, there's a lot of Uranian energy, okay? Like Uranus conjunct the sun in the composite or the Davison, or making really strong aspects to the sun or the moon or the rising, or a lot of Aquarius. There's a suggestion, and then if you've got your Venus in the 5th house, that shortens kind of makes the relationship a little bit more transitory, okay? If you've got some Saturn aspects, that will give it some longevity, but combining all these things together would suggest this is sort of more of a lover relationship and maybe not as much of a long-term relationship. Now, you could have a relationship with someone long-term and have your Venus in their 5th house and it be a perfectly stable long-term relationship, but it always needs to have this quality of the love side, the affection, the sexual expression of the relationship needs to stay fresh and creative and pleasurable. This is the type where you need to go on your little staycations together. You need to always be creating together relative to your relationship, okay? Now, 6th house, Venus in the 6th house. This is a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. You are going to have the ability with that Venus of yours to bring pleasure to the duties that we have to perform in our life for your partner. So, literally it's like you really are going to bring some pleasure when it comes to dieting or, doing your homework or doing your house chores. It's like this is the person that comes along and they turn music on really loud while you're cleaning the house and it's fun. Or they're, they are, bringing color into your life, these parts of life that aren't so fun. Or I've got a really good friend that is she's a clean food eating expert, and what she does for work is an example of taking a 6th house activity, which is, cooking for a diet, which is, dieting's not so fun. And she makes these amazing, delicious recipes that are,
clean though. They're clean, but they're pleasurable and enjoyable. So that's kind of a mixing the Venus and the sixth house together, okay? It's even exercising together, working out together, going to yoga together, enjoying that harmonizing and the pleasure of being together. That's very Venusian, but you know, through sixth house activities, okay? Having someone's Venus there, this is a nice placement for someone who is, if you're the Venus person, right, helping your partner get healthier. There's almost this healing quality to it, you know, this ability to bring more beauty into this area of their life and more vitality, quality, a better, higher quality of life, okay? So especially if you've got a Venus like in Virgo and you fall in their sixth house, you better believe your ability to help them stay on top of their, like, well, it's like dieting, you know? This would be perfect example. You might be the person that actually cooks and prepares the meals for your partner and you enjoy it, and your partner enjoys these Sundays you spend together cooking their meals for their diet for the week, that kind of thing, okay? Yeah. House. Seventh house is ruled by Venus. This is the Libra house, the partnership house. So she's, of course, very happy there. If your Venus falls into your partner's seventh house, your partner is really quite blessed by your fortuitous partnering, coupling. You're going to bring an increased desire in your partner to harmonize. There's an increased desire to be more pleasant, to be more sort of sweet to one another. This is, especially if it's conjunct your partner's descendant, it's like your quality and your way of loving and lovemaking is the same as their idea of what the other should be. It's really kind of a projection thing, even almost like their idea of the other is perfectly encapsulated in the way you sort of do love relationships, okay? This is a very nice and favorable aspect to have in a synastry chart, and it brings out, again, this desire and this quality to relate with one another. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a long-term relationship with this person, but whatever relationship you do have, there's a high level of just liking each other, you know, getting along with one another. In the eighth, this is our Scorp house. This is an intense placement, as most eighth house synastry overlays tend to be. So your partner's eighth house, remember, this is their house of extremes, of life and death, of sexuality, of intense feelings of jealousy, compulsion, manipulation, control, because it's also a house that has to do with like our fears of, it's this understanding that things live and then they die, right? And this is this understanding that we have to kill something so that we might live. That's eighth house stuff. So your Venus falls into their eighth house. You're going to bring out how do I say this? You're going to bring this into the love life, okay? This person's, your love life, your relationship with one another will have these elements of intensity. There will be an intense attraction to one another. You're going to bring out sexual attraction in your partner. You're going to bring out a desire in your partner to go deep, you know, with you. They're going to have a desire to go deeper with you in this relationship. And you could bring out the basics of jealousy, you know, control, might be a little stalker-ish, or like them wanting to know what you're like on social media and just kind of, it's a little bit more almost sun in the eighth house, but because it's a love relationship, relative to the love relationship, they're going to want to know what's going on in your love life, even if you're together, what's going on in your love life outside of the relationship you two have together. You know, they want to make sure that the thing that you have together is this sacred thing that no one else gets to participate in. Okay, that's very eighth house. All right. Also, this is a house of extremes, so it's like kind of an all or nothing thing. You're going to bring out either this person could really like you or really dislike you. So hopefully they're really liking you if you're watching this video, right? All of the water houses, so the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th, there is a bit of mystery to these houses because they are accessing the partner's unconscious part of the psyche. Excuse me, not so much too much Red Bull, not so much the conscious part, right? So there's a mystery there, and it's Venus. So this is very, can be sort of the dark feminine in a way, especially if you're a woman and your Venus falls into a man's 8th house, you're going to bring out, you're going to feel like this mysterious creature to them, and there's a sexual tension there and a sexual undercurrent for sure. For Venus, 9th house is our house of wisdom, and you know, you put Venus there. If your Venus is in your partner's 9th, they have this sense of camaraderie with you and this desire to support you, to see you grow, and it's going to be it's a mutual admiration club kind of a thing happening here. And this is our house of the teacher, the guru, the guide. So this is one that's really nice for this deeper, the physical part for sure initially, because it's our Sagittarius house, it's a fire sign, but it's more this deeper attraction where you bring out their attraction. They're attracted to your wisdom. They're attracted to your optimism, or they will project this upon you even. They'll feel that you're optimistic, or you're forward thinking, or you want to solve the problem and grow. And so it's a nice long-term placement in a romance chart, because it gives this benefic overall, like, it casts a lovely light on the relationship. So the partner will feel like you also, the things, again, that you value, that you find pleasure in, are going to be the things that they would enjoy learning about. So there's a little bit of a teacher learning, teaching vibe happening. It's going to, go in both directions, but you're activating that in them, that desire to become wiser. Religion and philosophy. So this could be someone that they may be more open to listening to your thoughts on religion and philosophy. You could have someone who's pretty fixed in their opinions, but when your Venus falls into their ninth house, there's an enjoyment and a pleasure in sort of sharing ideas with one another, and so they will be a little more open to being persuaded to seeing your side of things, because she's Venus, and she usually gets her way, but in a way that's very enjoyable for all parties involved. All right, we need more of this on the world stage. We need more Venus in the ninth house, like between countries that are having discussions with each other. It'd be helpful. Venus in the 10th house is nice for business relationships, obviously, but in romantic relationships, you are going to bring out one another. You as the Venus in your partner will appreciate what it is they're trying to accomplish. You will appreciate their desire for achievement, whatever that might be, whatever that looks like, and you will appreciate the way in which they go about achieving their goals with work, with profession, with their life purpose. Venus here also, if it's a man and you're the Venus, you're the woman, and the man is the house person, and your Venus falls in this house, he's going to value you. There is an increase placed upon your value when your Venus is placed in a man's 10th house, and the moon as well. You're a woman of import to this man, okay? If we flip this around, it's a woman's house, and the man's the Venus, you're going to have the ability to see, for this woman, you see what her value and her worth and career and work, and probably be able to give her some really good advice, and help her to make more money, because it's Venus, okay? Don't put her on a pedestal, though. That can happen with this placement. If you're the man who's the house person, and the Venus is in your house, your 10th house, do not put the woman on a pedestal. Okay, she's human. And I love the saying that she'll either jump off, get knocked off, or fall off. So don't. Pedestals are projection items, and they are not helpful in relationships. Okay. 11th house is that house of friendship. It's that house of the collective, our groups, our broader associations. It's very social. You put Venus there, and there definitely is an enjoyment. The two people will enjoy spending time socializing together. Now, you have two quite introverted individuals. Let's say we'll see. Let's say we have a Cancer and a Capricorn, but Sun. But we've got one of their Venuses. Let's say both of their Venuses fall in each other's 11th house. Okay, there would be more of a desire to go out and socialize, or to create. This could be a couple that they create a meetup group. They have a reading club, but it's like a meetup group. Where they together accentuate and bring out this desire in one another to connect with other people, okay, to share ideas. Also, this can be sort of a humanitarian vibe, this desire to together kind of go serve the broader community, and do things, and take a lot of pleasure in that, actually. You would light that up in one another. So you got two really extroverted people in a very extroverted relationship. This is like the partier, partying, going and having fun together. Some Sagittariuses or Gemini-ish people. You'd throw some Leo in there for fun, for wanting to be seen. You'd have a couple that would be like little party animals. Okay, if your Venus falls in your partner's 12th house, 12th house is that Pisces house. It's that, house of the unconscious. It's quite spiritual. It is a little bit like the pink fog, as I say. So Venus there can be, you're going to bring out in the person they could bring out their spiritual side. You could bring out the sense of we're soulmates. You could feel like a soulmate to them. You got to look at your Venus and their Venus, of course, on this one in particular. It's really important to get kind of an idea of how this plays out, because 12th house, Neptune, Pisces, they're also nebulous, and they can all move in so many different directions that to get clarity on this Venus, you've got to look at the aspects being made to your Venus and also look at your partner's Neptune, look at the ruler of the cusp of their 12th house. Is that making any aspects to your Venus? Is it making aspects to their Venus? You got to get kind of a flavor for how this 12th house works for them in their life before you plop your Venus in there to understand how your Venus is affecting them. You're going to bring out the pleasure. You're going to bring out relative to relationship. They're going to be expressing their 12th house. Okay. So if you have questions about that, ask me. But any questions or any thoughts about Venus, post them below, and we will move on to our hot, toasty little Mars next. Our passion planet. But thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So let me know what you think. Okay? All right, bye.